গুড মর্নিং এভরিওয়ান, সবাইকে শুভ সকালে শুভেচ্ছা। আশা করি তোমরা সবাই খুব ভালো আছো। আজকে আমি তোমাদের ইন্ডিয়ান পলাইটি সম্বন্ধে আজকে আমি তোমাদের আলোচনা করব। Indian polity framing of the constitution. The idea to have constitution was given by M.N. Roy, a pioneer of communist movement in India. The present The present constitution was framed by the Constituent Assembly of India, set up under Cabinet Mission Plan of May 16, 1946. Composition of Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assembly consists of 389 members, of which 292 were elected by the elected member of the provincial legislative assembly, while 93 members were nominated by the princely states. A representative from each of the four chief commissioners provinces of Delhi, Ajmer, Marwar, Kru and British Balochistan was also added. Each province and each Indian state or group of states were allotted the total number of seats proportional of their respective population, roughly in the ratio of 1 to a million. The seats in proportion of their respective population. Members of each community in the provincial legislative assembly elected their own representative by the method of proportional representation with single transferable vote. The method of selection in the case of representative of India states was to be determined by consultation. But where the Muslim League decided to withdraw its member from the Constituent Assembly of India and with the creation of a separate Constituent Assembly for Pakistan on July 16, 1947, the membership of the Constituent Assembly of India was reduced to 299, out which 229 represent the provinces and 70 were nominated by the princely states. Committee of Constituent Assembly. The Constituent Assembly appointed a number of committees to deal with different tasks of constitution making. Out of these, 8 were major committee and the others were minor committee. The name of the committee and their chairman are given below. মেজর কমিটির মধ্যে ছিল, একে ছিল ইউনিয়ন পাওয়ার কমিটি, এর ছিলেন জওহরলাল নেহরু। ইউনিয়ন কনস্টিটিউন্ট কমিটি জওহরলাল নেহরু। প্রভিন্সিয়াল কনস্টিটিউন্ট কমিটি সর্দার প্যাটেল। ড্রাফটিং কমিটি ডক্টর বি.আর. আম্বেদকর। Advisory Committee of Fundamental Rights and Minorities Sardar Patel. This committee had two subcommittee: Fundamental Rights Subcommittee J.B. Kipanelli, Minorities Subcommittee H.C. Mukherjee. Rules of Procedure Committee ছিল ডক্টর রাজেন্দ্র প্রসাদ। State Committee or Negotiating with States জওহরলাল নেহরু। স্টিয়ারিং কমিটি ডক্টর রাজেন্দ্র প্রসাদ। মাইনর কমিটির মধ্যে ছিল 15 জন। এর মধ্যে ছিল একে কমিটি অন ফাংশন অফ দ্য কনস্টিটিউয়েন্ট অ্যাসেম্বলি জি বিজনেস কমিটি ডক্টর কে এম। হাউস Committee B. Pattavis Sitaramaya. Ad hoc Committee on the National Flag Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Special Committee of Examine the Draft Committee Constitution Alladi Kissoremaya Adar. Credential Committee Alladi Kisnamaya Adar. Finance and Staff Committee Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Hindi Translation Committee, Urdu Translation Committee, Press Gallery Committee, Committee to examine the effect of Indian Independence Act 1947, Committee on Chief Commissioners Province B. Pattabi Sitaramaya, Commission on Linguistic Province Pattabi Expert চেয়ারম্যান ছিলেন বি.আর. আম্বেদকর। 2. এন. গোপালাস্বামী আয়াঙ্গার, আল্লাদি কৃষ্ণাস্বামী আয়ার, এ distinguished jurist. Chair K.M. Munshi, a distinguished jurist. 5. Syed Mohammad Sadullah N. Madhav Rao in place of B.L. Mitto. D.P. Khaitan T. Krishnamurthy after Khaitan's death in 1948. Functioning of the Constituent Assembly. B.N. Rao was appointed the constitutional advisor of the Assembly. The first meeting of the Constituent Assembly took place on December 9, 1946 with Dr. Sachidanand Sinha as its interim president. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as its president on December 11, 1946. Constitutional Development of India. The history of the constitutional development in India can be traced back to the Regulating Act of 1773, which for the first time made the provision for the post of Governor General in India. Since then, a number of constitutional experiments were introduced aiming at streamlining the Indian administration. However, the year 1858 serves as waters when the Indian administration came under the direct rule of the British Crown and the centralization of the administration was at its pinnacle. Thus, the period of British constitutional development experiment in India can be divided into two phases. Constitutional experiment during the rule of the East India Company 1773 থেকে 1857. Constitutional experiment under the British Crown 1857 থেকে 1947. Constitutional experiment during the rule of the East India Company 1773 থেকে 1857. Regulating Act 1773 subjected the company action to the supervision of the British government and of dual government of Bengal to be the Governor General of British Territories of India. Establishment of Supreme Court in Calcutta. The servants of the company were forbidden to engage in private state except present or briefs etc. Pitt's Act of 1784. The commercial and political activities of the company were now separate. Board of Control of 6 members, including two cabinet ministers of the company in India. 3 members will be there in Governor General Executive Council. Secret committee of 3 directors were to look into political and military affairs. Governor General and the Council were forbidden to declare war and make treaties without the sanction of said committee. Madras and Bombay presidencies were subordinated to the Governor General in Council of Bengal in all matters. This act gave the British government a measure of control over the company affairs. In fact, the company became a subordinate department of the state. Act of 1786, Governor General given the power to override the council and was made a commander in chief also. Character Acts at 1793. Company given monopoly to trade for 20 more years. Expenses and salaries of the board of control to be charged of Indian revenue. The Governor General and the Governor could now override the decision of their respective councils. All laws were to be translated in Indian language. It laid the foundation of government by written laws interpreted by courts. Character Acts of 1813. Company deprived of its trade monopoly in India except in tea and trade with China. This made the company more of administrative body. All Englishmen could trade with India subject to few restrictions. A sum of rupees 1 lakh are marked annually for education of Indians. Further, chairman missionaries were also permitted to come to India and preach their religion. Character Act of 1833. End of company monopoly even in tea and trade with China. Company was asked to close its commercial business at the earliest. All restrictions to European immigration into India and acquisition of land and property in India by them were removed, legalizing European colonization of India. Governor General of Bengal to be Governor General of India, all power administrative and financial were centralized in the handed of the Governor General in Council. First Governor General of India, Lord William Bentinck. President of Board of Control became the Minister of India Affairs. A law member without power of vote was added to the Executive Council of the Governor General. Macaulay was the first law member. This increased the council's strength to four. With it began the Indian legislature. A law commission was constituted for pontification of laws. The act threw open to all, irrespective of religion, place of birth, descent, and color, service under the Company Charter Act of 1853. The act renewed the power of the company and allowed it to retain the possession of Indian territories in trust for the British Crown but not for any specified period. The number of members of the Court of Directors was reduced from 24 to 18, of which 6 were to nominated by the Crown. The law member was made a full member of the Governor General Executive Council. Legislation was treated for the first time as separate from executive function. Questions could be asked and the policy of the Executive Council could be discussed. Through the Executive Council could veto a bill of the Legislative Council. Recruitment to civil service was based on open annual competition examination including Indians. Constitutional experiment under the British Crown 1857 to 1947, Government of India Act 1858, rule of company in India ended and that of the Crown began. System of dual government ended. Court of Director and Board of Control abolished and substituted them with a post of Secretary of State, a member of the British Cabinet. He was assisted by a 15-member council called India Council. He was to exercise the powers of the Crown, Secretary of State, Governor in India through the Governor General. Governor General received the title and victory. We represented Secretary of State and was assisted by the Executive Council, which consisted of high officials of the government. A unitary and highly centralized administrative structure was created. Indian Council Act 1861. A fifth member who was to be a jurist was added to be Viceroy Executive Council. 6 to 12 additional members to be added to the Executive Council of Legislation purpose. This implied that the Viceroy Executive Council, which was so long composed of officials, would now include certain additional non-official members. Some of non-official seats were offered to natives of high ranks. Thus, a minute element of popular participation was introduced in the legislative process. The additional member through had little powers. The Executive Council was now to be called Central Legislative Council. Viceroy could issue ordinance in case of emergency. Indian Council Act 1909 or Morlimento performed. Morley was the Secretary of State while Minto was the Indian Viceroy. Legislative Council both at the center and in the province were expanded. With regards to central government, an Indian member was taken in the Executive Council of Governor General. The size of the provincial legislative council were enlarged by including elected non-official members so that the official majority was gone. Their functions were also increased. Now they could move resolution on budget and on some matters of public matters. An element of election was also introduced in the Central Legislative Council, but the official majority was maintained. The most notable and retrograde change introduced was the Muslims were given separate representation, thus communal representation was introduced.